My name is Anand. I'm an occupational therapist, acupuncturist, and a naturopath. I trained about 25 years ago, and over the years, I have studied different aspects of complementary medicine like yoga, meditation, Shivambu, and lots of other natural therapy techniques. Today, I'm incorporating all these bits of information for the benefit of my viewers and listeners to help them get an insight into how to get to better health. Okay, we are going to talk about Shivambu. Shivambu is commonly referred to in the West as urine therapy or auto urine therapy, or some people refer to it also as water of life. Shivambu is a Sanskrit word, combination of two words, Shiva and Ambu. Shiva means pure and Ambu means water. So it basically refers to pure water. Now Shivambu has been used traditionally for curing lots of diseases at a very basic level. What do I mean by basic? The common man resorts to Shivambu after he has tried all the different pathis of the world, and to ease his suffering, he gives it a go and finds it useful. There is also literature which says Shivambu can be used for preventive benefit. Preventive means to avoid disease. Try to keep your body healthy, hale and hearty. The curative benefit is for helping assist people with disease. I've added a third category, what I call therapeutic benefit, which is similar to curative, but one needs a bit more guidance from professionals or experienced people who practice or who are well versed in Shivambu to guide the person through specific programs where they might need to have variation of dose, variation of sort of diet, change so many things, maybe have some exercises, etc. to help gain benefit and thus achieve a cure. Shivambu has become quite popular now across the world, and it is estimated that about 7 to 8% of the population of a lot of countries are practicing Shivambu in their own way at home. It is estimated that countries like India and maybe China have more than 8% practitioners, estimated maybe about 10 to 12%, but we do not have exact figures, of course. Now, when we talk about Shivambu, it is important to know what anecdotal evidence we have. Let us look at a couple of case histories. The first one that comes to mind was an elderly man who I met and who helped me grow into Shivambu about 20 odd years ago. He recounted his personal story of how he was suffering from liver cancer. He was admitted to a reputed hospital, and all the doctors kept coming back and seeing him day after day. He had 10 days to live, he had 8 days to live, and that they couldn't really offer anything to help him get out of his misery. The patient, of course, got sick of it, and in his wisdom decided that if he's going to die, he might as well go home and die. Why does he need to be in hospital for another 8 or 10 days just to die? So he went home. Somewhere between the hospital and going home, a friend of his gave him a book on Shivambu. He, of course, when you got your back to the wall, desperation, he read that book and realized that he had heard something about Shivambu before. He had nothing to lose, so he started on that project of implementing Shivambu for himself. This included drinking urine and doing a few other things, as in some herbs and some spices and fasting, etc. And lo and behold, within the week, the patient noticed that he was feeling better within himself. And as things progressed, it took him nearly about 12 to 18 months before he completely recovered from his cancer. Just to ensure that there was no remnants of cancer within him, he went back to the same hospital which had diagnosed him a year ago and told him he was waiting for his deathbed, and got the doctors to review him. The doctors gave him a clean bill of health. When he presented his old file and said, "Doctor, you were the people who said that I had cancer and I should be dead in about 10 days, the people were shocked, the professionals, doctors. And they could not believe that it is the same man who is free of cancer. Rather, they insisted that the earlier diagnosis may have been wrong." The second case I would like to bring to you is about a person who has been suffering from skin problems for a long, long time. The skin problems had become so bad that he was itchy all the time. The patient was itchy all the time. Arms, legs, face, neck, everywhere. His whole body was covered. And the skin had become leathery at the wrist, at the elbows, at the ankles, behind the knee. It was very horrible to look at. The sight of his knees, ankles, the skin was not a pleasant sight. And the patient, of course, had got to his wit's end when he decided to consider Shivambu. In this case, because the condition was a lot worse, he needed professional advice and guidance, which he obtained from an experienced person. And to his horror, within weeks, his skin started improving. And now about a year later or a year and a half later, his skin is much better. He's nearly free of his problem. He's not fully got rid of it. It's nearly about 80% better. And he's there enjoying his life without the itching, having ability to focus on life and pleasures of life than worrying about his health. Now these two instances make a glaring statement that Shivambu does have a place in the curative side of things, that it does have some role to play. Why is Shivambu special for me? And why am I talking about it? I believe it is a unique pati. And it is unique because of the following reasons from my perspective. One, it is free. Two, it is effective. Number three, it appears to do the job whether the body has got something in excess or something deficient. By that I mean Shivambu seems to be able to bring the body closer to normal. Doesn't matter which way of normality you have crossed, transgressed. So if the body has got something above limit, it will try to bring it down to normal. If the body is not functioning well and it is below the limit, it will try to bring it back to normal. This has been our experience so far. Now, there have been various references made to Shivambu in different texts. They say the Bible has got some reference to it. They say other religious texts also have some reference to it. There is some reference in Ayurvedic texts, but which is very, very sketchy. But the major reference regarding Shivambu is a treatise called Shivambu Kalpa Vidhi. It is a treatise which is a chapter in the Damar Tantra, which is an ancient Indian text. This text is supposed to be a conversation between Lord Shiva and Goddess Parvati. And Lord Shiva is propounding the benefits of Shivambu to his wife, and it has been narrated in 107 shlokas. The shlokas basically talk about how Shivambu should be collected, which part of the urine should be collected, the types of utensils to be used, the type of prescriptions to be used. It also talks about external massage. And last but not the least, it also talks about telling Goddess Parvati to keep this a secret. Now I know I'm breaking one of those rules, the last rule, by trying to make this public knowledge. But the reason I wish to make this public knowledge is I feel Shivambu has a lot to offer to the common man in terms of being able to help the needy, the sick, who can get benefits without much cost. Now Shivambu, going back to the traditional Shivambu Kalpa Vidhi, the Shivambu Kalpa Vidhi states that we must collect the midstream urine. So you let go the first 1/3, collect the middle 1/3, and let go the last 1/3. It talks about that being the best for therapeutic use. Because ancient literature is written in shlokas where they do not express all the details, we really do not know whether the middle 1/3 is good only for preventive health, for healthy people to maintain their good health, whether the middle 1/3 is satisfactory if somebody has got a chronic health problem or a severe health problem where we might need to do it. I will make reference to that later. The second part of the Shivambu Kalpa Vidhi talks about how to collect, what utensils, and reference is made to utensils made of gold, silver, copper, tin, banana leaf, bamboo, bone, china, glass, pottery, unglazed pottery, etc. They seem to be very specific about all these different containers. Obviously, each of the containers has some specific therapeutic effect. The next part talks a little bit about fasting and some of the protocols and what benefits one has after one has practiced Shivambu for 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, up to about 15 years. The middle part of Shivambu Kalpa Vidhi makes references to lots of herbs and spices and combinations. The commonest ones that I can make reference here without having to go through the literature, they talk about honey, they talk about turmeric, they talk about ginger powder, plus so many other medicinal herbs. And each one is supposed to give a slightly different effect on the body. Obviously, once we get into these herbal prescriptions, we are looking at professional need to be able to prescribe accurately what aspect of herb quantity is required for a particular person. Then the latter part of the Shivambu Kalpa Vidhi makes reference to external use of Shivambu, which is more related to massage and how you apply Shivambu externally. And there is clear reference made to the fact that Shivambu should be at least 8 to 12 weeks old, or it should be boiled to a concentrate of about 1/4 before you can apply it. It also states very clearly that fresh urine should not be applied to the skin because it does not have a therapeutic effect. It could have a negative effect too. And like I said before, the last line where Lord Shiva tells Goddess Parvati, please keep this a secret. And I suppose now, after having practiced Shivambu for quite some time, I can understand why. Because there are lots of people in the community who do not like talking about such topics or even thinking about it. Now, the literature we have is very ancient. We always need to look at validity of that literature. One of the things we need to be aware of is the fact that ancient literature were always written after they had validated it themselves, because there was very narrow scope for writing. People would not put things in script unless they were very sure of the benefits that they wanted to share with others. Today we look at it and say it's not enough detail. But in the ancient world, detail was supposed to be achieved by the knowledge of the professionals who were studying the subject. Looking at other validity means, today we look at anecdotal case histories as one form of research, randomized controlled trials, just controlled trials, and then we also look at looking at research related to the ingredients in Shivambu and how they might be beneficial. What has happened to date? There has been a lot of research done by people like Dr. Buzinski, who has done work in isolating antineoplastic components in urine and used them to therapeutic effect. Today he has got a center in America where he actually synthesizes those same antineoplastic ingredients to try to help people suffering from cancer. I myself tried to do some research and ran into some tough times. I was under the impression that we could do some lab testing and find out all the ingredients in urine, only to find that it was not possible to assess every ingredient in urine objectively and quantitatively. That was a big blow to me. I have done enough anecdotal research to date looking at subjects where they have benefited from Shivambu, and I can share some of those with you. Okay, having discussed the heritage of Shivambu, let us look at the modern way of what Shivambu is all about. A lot of ingredients in Shivambu have been found to be quite therapeutic. Urea is one of the big ingredients which has been found to be useful in a lot of skin conditions. Urokinase is another one which has been found to be very useful in clotting, dissolving clots. Today we find streptokinase, which is a synthetic derivative, does the same job, and it is effective for stroke patients in an emergency. Like that, there are lots of ingredients in urine which are used beneficially for different things. Some infertility drugs are used by women through some extracts from urine. There has been some research done in Japan in the past where they have tried to extract some ingredients from urine for therapeutic benefit, but that hasn't been particularly successful at a marketing level. Having given you all a brief history of what Shivambu is all about, we will now go on to the next part where we will talk about how to implement Shivambu in each one of our lives if one wishes to. We might stop here now. I wish you all the very best. Good luck.